Well, first of all, I was my best advocate, right? No one can want or desire whatever that thing is for you more than you. You know, if you're waiting on someone to champion your name, your candidacy, your qualification skills, and credentials to somebody else for the purpose of an opportunity, whether that's educational or occupational, you're going to be waiting.
Welcome back to the Millionaire by Morning podcast. We have a special guest with us today. He is an author, self-published author. His name is Dr. Brian Samuel. We'll be discussing Finding Myself, a journey from the projects to the Ph.D. Welcome to the Millionaire by Morning show today, Dr. Brian.
Thank you for having me, my good brother Rashad. It's a pleasure, and like I said, you honor people with invitation. They honor you when they show up. So we've honored each other today. Thank you for the pleasure and opportunity.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I agree wholeheartedly. And thank you for your taking your time out your day for being with us, me, myself, and my listeners as well. I like I say, man, I don't do a long drawn out introduction. I want you to be able to introduce yourself to the listeners. And if you could, man, I did get to read a little bit about your story. That's a very interesting story. um, Take us back, man, to Knoxville, Tennessee, if you could.
Well, if I could summarize where I am today and who I am as a man and a black man in particular, I would say I'm an apple far from the tree. You know, much of the community that I grew up in said I'd never be anything. I'd never amount to anything. My father was in prison. My mother was a dishwasher. And I was shooting bad myself at the time. Not doing a whole lot with my life, and you know, wasn't a very strong or good outlook for me. And then all of a sudden, something happened that got me turned around. Man, my buddy robbed the old man and kind of left him for dead. And my mother stepped to me. The one time she ever had a serious conversation with me, she stepped to me and said, "Hey, what are you going to do with your life? I don't want you shot dead in the streets. I don't want you in prison like your father. Find something to do with your life." And it scared me half to death. I mean, we had never had those type of conversations before. And I stayed home that day. I mean, I fell asleep on the couch just thinking about life for the very first time. And when I went to school the next day, there was an admissions counselor there, and I asked my second period teacher, Miss Leroy Beatty. She was the English teacher for 11th and 12th graders at Austin East High School in Knoxville, Tennessee. And she let me go hear what the counselor had to say. And, the rest, as they say, is history. I'm here, 32-year veteran in American higher education, a vice president at the University of Alabama in Huntsville. I've been in the trenches. I've been in the mid management, and now the executive rungs of American higher education now. So, I'm doing what I do.
That's an awesome story, man. Um, Going from the trenches to the board. Um, Give us your whole entire story is about being resilient, right? When that mindset shift happened, can you kind of tell us? Can you give us some insight into where your mindset went to and how you were able to keep yourself inspired and motivated to keep moving along the path?
Well, first let me say I'm not Hove, right? But I had to reintroduce myself to myself, right? I went through this period where, in the beginning, people were saying you could be the president of the United States, which wasn't true in 1976, right? To you can't be nothing. You can't do anything more than wash some dishes and clean some bathrooms. And in the words of my man. In Goody Mob, CeeLo. Every job I got is cruel and demeaning. Here's what he said. And and get up and get out and get something with Outkast. And so I generally didn't think much of the future and what was out there for me and that kind of thing until my mother stepped to me and asked me to find something to do. And that made me start thinking about all the things I had been through. I had been sick, I had some health problems. I had come through a school system that asked me to walk to school every day in the pouring rain, the snow, and the cold. And if I didn't go, I didn't care about my education. I didn't care about myself, right? But my county peers, by comparison, got a ride to school on what we called the yellow duck back in the day. And at some point, I just said to myself, "This picture crooked. There isn't anything wrong with me to where I can't do some of these things. I'm just not being given the opportunity." And so I liken it to riding a bike, right? You talked about resilience. And I tell young people today, a lot of times they are so much more resilient than even they know. And most of us know how to ride a bike. And when we started out, we had an uncle, a daddy, a stepfather, a mother, cousin, big brother, big sister, somebody holding that seat running behind us, right? And when they let us go, we failed. And we failed. We scrubbed up our ankles and elbows, foreheads, knocked out a tooth or something. We cried a little bit, but at the end of the day, what did? We got back on that bike, didn't we?
Right.
And so we got back on that bike and we kept learning to ride until next thing you know, we trying to pop wheelies and we trying to jump the curb and riding on the handlebars, riding backwards. We went from just trying to survive and learn something to actually thrive and trying to be Evel Knievel back in the day, jumping off ramps and all that kind of thing. So when I think about resilience, I think about mastering the art of persistence, the art of perseverance, the art of having some setbacks, learning from those setbacks and re-engaging in the process till you accomplish your goal, right? I don't subscribe to a theory of failure, because if I did, I'd still be washing dishes at Shoney's on Broadway. I made a 12 on the ACT, and every college I applied to told me I'd never graduate, including the ones I got the 3 degrees from, right? So you got to be resilient these days. You have to have that never say die, that optimistic attitude and belief and confidence in yourself, and you can't expect other people to have it for you.
That's right. So what do you say to when you're looking at a young guy and you're seeing yourself? What is your message to that young guy?
First of all, I tell them they can do anything they believe they can do, right? And I was speaking with my president just the other day, and he said he didn't believe that was true. He would like to be a basketball player, but he's probably not tall enough or good enough to be in the NBA. And I said, well, you probably can't be in the NBA, but you might can play overseas somewhere. You might can play in a rec league or something. That doesn't mean you can't be a basketball player, even though you may not be at the level you desire to be at. I don't believe that there is a such thing as failure. And I tell people all the time, especially young people, think of it like water in a bottle, right? You drink water in a bottle?
Yes.
You do, right? Most people across the globe drink water in a bottle. Water was already free, brother. You could go to any park. You could go to any restaurant. You sit down. You ain't even ordered nothing. They just bring you water, right? You go to McDonald's. They give you a cup of water. It don't matter where you went. There was a free water fountain. You could get water for free. Somebody had an idea that they could sell water to the public. They could sell water to the world, putting it in a plastic bottle and making it convenient, making it transportable. You can go wherever. You can go hoop, run a game of 21 or do whatever on the basketball court and set your little bottle of water down and hit it as you need to. Right. And if we can sell water in the bottle at about $6 a gallon, what can we not do? I'm not talking about sending people to the moon and, neurological surgery or cardiovascular surgery or whatever. I'm saying if we can put water in a bottle, which was already free, we pay more for bottled water than we do gas. If we could do that, what can we not do? You can do anything. that you put your mind to and that you're willing to work behind and you're willing to, do exactly what needs to be done to accomplish that goal, you can get it done. You can get it done, brother. I believe that. And that's been, the backbone to my success, or the secret to my success. I always believe I had a chance and a possibility of being successful. And as I said, I don't subscribe to the ideal of failure in everything that I did. As soon as I woke up, man, I'm on the basketball court, we can win this game, right? Because I done chose my team with skill and precision, who can get rebounds, who can shoot, who can dunk, who can block, who can dribble, who got handles, right? I've approached it strategically that way to increase the probability that I can run the court all day, all night, right? We're going to be up for a long time. And every now and again, you'll have a setback, you'll lose a game, and you can't wait to get back at them. But no, you can do anything you put your mind to. And I tell young people that, and I help them, kind of see some of the different things that people in this world have accomplished. Blind people reading, blind people as doctors, right? Lawyers, you name it. There's a million examples out there of people accomplishing what seemingly would be impossible.
That's right. You definitely just provided sound bites for this show, because that's definitely what this show is all about, man. It's about mindset, and there's nothing that can stop you. I would like to ask you, getting into the topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion, do you think that is a roadblock with what's going on right now, and government trying to do their best to do away with it? Would you consider that a roadblock for young black men?
Well, let me say it this way. First of all, I'm speaking as a private citizen right now, right? My own lived experience in thinking about societal concerns and issues, in this case, diversity, equity, inclusion, because you asked me the question. So I want to say that first and foremost. But to your question, I don't think that's a roadblock. We as young black men, young black women, members of minority group populations and things of that nature, we always had to sidestep landmines and go the extra mile. I don't know about you and where you grew up, but I grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we knew that we had to be 5 times better just to have an opportunity to be equal, or to have any probability of getting a job, right? You had to show up and show out, or else, if all things were equal, you lose, right? That's how we were raised. And we knew that there wasn't going to be any handouts, any, favoritism, any benefit of the doubt. You come short, you don't get it, whatever that is, right? And so I don't think that's going to hinder us. I think the individuals who are passionate and serious about their futures and the goals and aspirations that they set for themselves and their families, I think they're going to find some type of way to sidestep landmines that would preclude them from the accomplishment of their goals and objectives. I think that happens every day. Think about people who wanted to start businesses and got turned down 40 times before they got one yes, right? And they got that one yes, and it was 27% interest on the startup loan. And they go on to open 5, 10 stores or something, become multimillionaires and billionaires doing the thing that they love, creating generational wealth for themselves and their families and what have you. And there had to be a million different obstacles, a million reasons to say no, a million reasons to quit. And they only needed that one reason to continue. I call that the desire, right? The desire. And you mentioned my book, Finding Myself, A Journey from the Projects to the Ph.D. I was full of desire. I was so tired of powdered milk, government cheese, and commodity pimento cheese, and that block of macaroni cheese, that block. You know what I'm talking about? That big old block that came in the
Yeah.
middle. I was so tired of living life low, as we called it, that I was gonna, man, I was gonna accomplish my goals or die trying. You know, it wasn't nothing that was gonna put in my way that was gonna turn me around and get me off this path. So, you know, I believe it will not keep persons who are serious about their goals and their aspirations, providing for their families and things of that nature. They will find a way.
I heard that, man. Great, great answer. Great answer. I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. I believe that um, it's steeped in community. Our success is steeped in community. And as long as we can keep that strong, like you say, dreams abound. If I may ask, and maybe you don't, know all of them, you can give us some of them, but can you have a long list. Can you tell us about some of your accolades and awards that you have been awarded over the years?
Wow, I got more than I can recall. But some of the ones I'm most proud of come from student organizations that have recognized the guidance and advice I try to give to them. You know, I call it my passion, my calling, my ministry, my purpose to support young people with understanding, you know, pathways to higher education, pathways to careers, how to be successful in college, how to be successful in their careers, and get out and go do some things and see the world and provide for themselves and their families. So, you know, I got a lot of awards. There was an organization called Brother to Brother at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, where I was the chief diversity officer for 9 years. They gave me a certificate of appreciation for my work as their advisor. The Student Support Services Organization at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga also gave me a certificate of appreciation and a great big old African statue, which you can probably see over my right shoulder back on my bookshelf here. And man, it felt my heart, because all I did was, you know, go do some workshops and talk to them about graduate school and getting a doctorate and master's degree and things of that nature. And that I too had once been in the very program that they participated in, the Student Support Services. I have the Southern Association of Educational Opportunity Personnel Award from SAOP, as they call it here in the Southeast. It's a TRIO program. And I'm very happy about that, to be a TRIO Achiever recipient. I have a number of certificates and awards from Hispanic leadership organizations for creating National Association of Latino Fraternal Organizations and Sororities, things of that nature in the state of Nebraska, University of Nebraska at Kearney. The Connecticut Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities gave me a few awards for my work in diversity, equity, inclusion, affirmative action, things of that nature. It's a lot of them. I can't possibly name them all. It's quite a few.
There's a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a bunch. That's all right. I just wanted you to run down a few of them, just to show you are a man of action. I would like to, on the show, we talk about marketing. A lot of times we talk about marketing as it relates to business. However, you, as a man that went through the ranks and, started out, like you say, um, at a school that you were denied, but however, you were resilient. How, if anyone is listening, that is trying to get maybe a position or trying to position themselves, how did you, Dr. Samuel, market yourself to get the job, the ability, or the opportunity?
Well, first of all, I was my best advocate, right? You know, no one can want or desire whatever that thing is for you more than you. You know, if you're waiting on someone to champion your name, your candidacy, your qualification, skills, and credentials to somebody else for the purpose of an opportunity, whether that's educational or occupational, you're going to be waiting, right? no one should be more qualified to tell someone about you than you. And that's the approach that I took in engaging universities for admission, engaging employers for career opportunities and advancement opportunities, increased responsibility opportunities. I protected my brand. I made sure there wasn't anything out there that somebody could say, Brian Devon Samuel, I'm giving my whole government name here, did this, right? No, he didn't. you know, if they knew my name, it was associated with something good, something in service to the public, something that, helping a young lady across the street, or an old lady carry her bags, or changing a flat tire, or whatever it might have been, mentoring boys and girls at the Boys and Girls Club, tutoring and that kind of stuff. It was something for the good of mankind. And I made sure that that's the only thing that people knew about me, because those are the kind of things that I did, and those were the kind of things that I was about. And so much so that I got to tell you this story. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, and we used to stay pretty sharp back in the day. We had 2 or 3 days a week we wear a suit and tie to class, and the ideal, you gotta be who you want to be in the future, right? Show that, demonstrate that, be that. And this one particular day, I was driving down 3rd Street in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and it was raining cats and dogs. I mean, it was raining like Noah's Ark was coming down the street any moment. And this young lady named Taylor, her car had stopped, and she went to school with us and everything. And I'm sitting there looking as all these people are just driving by. And I'm suited, booted, bow tie, suspenders, shoes shine. I'm clean, man. I'm noopish, very noopish on that day. And I said, I cannot leave this young lady out here. And although I didn't want to get out in that cold rain, I did. I got out. I pushed her to safety. I gave her a ride to the university center, and we went our separate ways and the whole 9 yards. It turns out that maybe a year and a half after that day, I applied for an assistantship in student support services, and there was a new director, and she interviewed me. Her name was Cheryl Golston. She interviewed me for her graduate assistantship, and I did my interview, and things went about as good as you can do in an interview. And then they called me back and told me I had the job. And when I got the job, a young lady named Freddie Williams was her administrative assistant. And Freddie said to me in no uncertain terms that she didn't know me from Adam. But when she was asked about whether or not I should get the job or get the opportunity or what have you, the one thing she knew was that she saw me get out my Mazda RX-7, pearl white, beautiful car, in the pouring rain, and push that little girl's car out the street. That's the one thing she knew about me. And she said any young man that would do something like that to help somebody was probably, cut from a certain kind of cloth and worth the opportunity, And that, I think, got me the job over some other people, right? And not that I did it thinking that there was going to be some type of favoritism or return on that time and investment and what have you that would benefit me. I saw her sitting in the middle of the street, in the pouring rain, and I decided to help the young lady. Not that something was going to come back to me, but that's the way that worked out. And nowadays, a lot of young people don't know to protect their brand. They on Facebook and Instagram and all these social media platforms, and they're doing God knows what, saying God knows what, telling their relationship business, disobeying their parents, you name it. And I think those actions and behaviors can have some significant ripples in the pond of reputation, if you will. And before you can even get to that place of interviewing, your reputation, your name, and your brand done beat you to the boardroom.
Right.
and you done lost the job, can't get the loan or whatever it is, based on things that you didn't think mattered, even though they do.
Even though they do. Great answer, man. I watch, you know, Coach Prime talk to his
Yeah.
boys now. And that's the same thing that he tells them, man. Like, it starts before you hit the football field.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Before you even walk in the door, you on show. And for young people like us, we always on show. We always on show, man. You get on the bus, ride through the city. If you I don't know how people travel nowadays, but when I was younger, we had to take the bus because we didn't have cars, right? And you on that bus, and you cussing up a storm or playing rap music real loud, or which they probably don't have to worry about that anymore with with some of the technologies, earpods and things. But you behaving in a certain way, if you're not careful, your reputation, your brand can be tarnished and beat you to the boardroom, beat you to the admissions table, beat you to the loan officer's office or what have you. And then, you trying to figure out why. And a lot of times I've seen people be rejected for any number of things, and they never have any idea what that was about. They
Right.
never, because no one comes and tell you that, right?
Right.
No one comes and tell you, I saw you cussing in the university center, or I saw you doing this thing or that thing, and that's why I'm not giving you the job, or that's why you can't be in this program, or that's why you can't. No, they don't do that. They just say no and leave you to wonder, well, what happened? How is this person better than me? Why he got it and I didn't get it? You know, yeah.
Yep. That's right.
Protect
Your
your brand.
reputation precedes you.
Yeah, yeah. Protect that brand, man. You got to protect that brand.
That's a good answer, man. I would definitely speaking with someone would give them that advice. That's a lot of people I don't think, like you say, with social media and stuff like that, I don't think a lot of people even think about that. But yeah, that's good.
And if I can say something, it's really compounded by this ideal of free speech and free democracy and you know American freedoms in this thing or another. But here's the truth: that is not wrong. You have the right to free speech and associations and doing whatever it is that you do. But people have the right to interpret and internalize that and make their own decisions too. And
Yeah.
it's like a bullet from fire from a gun, a projectile, what have you. Once that thing is out there, you can't bring it back. You can't control where it goes or who it hits, or it's gone. you know.
Yep.
Um, anyway, I just try to help young people understand that. Sometimes you get through to them, sometimes you don't.
That's right. That's right. Just giving it an effort. So you're working on your book at this moment in time. What else where are you going with that? Are you on a speaking tour? Are you promoting anything with the book, along with the book, or what's going on there?
I do speaking engagements as requested. Most of the time, I'm at a boys and girls club, a middle school, high school, or some organizational um, league or club or something like that. Like I mentioned, Kappa Alpha Psi, Kappa League, and what have you, where I engage young people around some of these principles and ideals for success and thinking about things. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Sometimes I go out of state to other schools and other school districts, colleges, and universities, and what have you. I've done quite a few in Texas. I see that 682 area code there. You
That's
in
right.
Fort Worth?
I'm in forward. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
I was in Mansfield for 2.5 years. Yeah.
You lived in Mansfield.
Yeah, I did. I lived in Mansfield. I was at UT Arlington for 2.5 years until they canceled diversity in the
Yeah, I
state.
see where you spoke there. I was going to ask you about that. I went to college there.
Okay, you went to UTA?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well, I was there from 21 to 20, late 22, early 23, somewhere around that time. Yep. But yeah, so I spoke at one of the middle schools in Arlington. I forget the name, but it's right off of 57 there. One of the middle schools. Forgive me. And I just go where people a lot of times they'll ask me to come speak to their groups, their students. They'll buy copies of the book, or they'll give me an honorarium or something, or sometimes depending on how many copies or books or whatnot, then I might just do it for free. My mission is to reach people, and try to help them better themselves and better their lives, right? And that's what's important to me. That's what matters to me and why.
Right. Awesome, man. Um, Mansfield is the growing city. How'd you like it?
I loved it. Oh my gosh, I loved it, man. I'd go down 360 or 57 or 35W or whatnot, and seeing all the new restaurants, and the infrastructure being built up and the whole nine yards. It was really really nice. I like Texas in terms of culture and activities and that kind of thing. I wasn't crazy about the politics, of Texas or what have you, but yeah,
Definitely.
it was really nice. I like Mansfield.
Yeah, it's a nice place to be. So what you have in the future? What is Dr. Samuel gearing up for in the, let's say, near future, or long distance?
I'm gearing up to do more of the speaking circuit and engaging high school, middle school, college students um, externally more directly. And when I say externally, I mean beyond my professional and full time capacity here at the university. I'm gearing up for taking the show on the road a little more extensively, right? In free time and uh, other time out or away from the office or whatnot. I think it's important that I continue to engage students and help them understand the how, right? In my book, I talk a lot about project windows, chapter 2, project windows, and specifically, Nas had a song with the Isley Brothers where he said, looking out his project windows, he felt so uninspired. The hustlers, the hoes, the drugs, and foes. This was the life of every kid looking at project windows, right? And growing up in the project, we had project windows, and there wasn't a lot of inspiration and a lot of people saying go to college or go to the military or do this or do that or what have you, right? They were very skillful at telling you what you couldn't do, right? And not so much about what you could do. And even when you did have someone somewhere to kind of insist that you could do something, there wasn't very much information on how to do it or how to approach it. And in that song, Project Windows, Nas talks about so many ways out the projects, but there are no signs to say out, right? And we're all in these projects. Sometimes you're in a physical housing project and you're trying to break the cycle and overcome barriers and obstacles to your own success. Sometimes you're in the project of your mind, just dealing with any number of different kind of things, whether it's relationships with other people or financial challenges or what have you, right? So metaphysically speaking, people are dealing with so much that they need to try to ascend from or escape from or what have you, but there's never really a clear delineation on how to do some of that, how to get past some of these barriers. I just saw a young man last week at the board of trustees meeting, and I asked him what his future was, what his plans was after he got out of college, and he said he was going to go get a Ph.D. And I asked him, "How you going to pay for it?" Right? And so we went round and round, probably 10 iterations of that same question: "How you going to pay for it? How you going to pay for it?" He had no earthly idea of how he was going to pay for it, right? And I started telling him about assistantships and fellowships and the Southern Region Educational Board and all these organizations in Southeast United States and beyond that exist expressly for the purpose of helping people get PhDs. And he had no earthly idea about any of
Wow.
those things, right? And so when I got back to my office Monday morning, fired up the computer, first thing I saw was an email from his mother thanking me for sharing that information with him and things of that nature. So, I really think it's important that I and people like myself who have overcome some of these obstacles and have this knowledge, information, and skill set of coaching and developing young people and seeing them through to the accomplishment of their goals, that we make sure that people know how and know that the opportunities are out there and that they're going to have to do some work, right? Nobody's just going to give you a bachelor's, a master's, a medal of freedom, or a certificate of electrical engineering or something like that to where you can go become gainfully employed and take care of yourself and your family. You're going to have to do some work.
No doubt. No doubt about that. And you are right, man. We need more people like you spreading that message. People don't have an idea, don't have a clue. I listened to one day I listened to Killer Mike speaking, and he said that in Atlanta, he cannot familiarize himself with other black people's plight because in Atlanta, where he grew up, he said we had black entrepreneurship. We had black greatness to look at. We had store owners, grocery store owners. We seen physicians. We seen doctors and lawyers and other people who were owning their own business. We seen that in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And he's right. There's not, I can't remember growing up knowing a doctor, a black doctor that
Yep.
could tell me how to take that path. So he's absolutely right. There are some places, I suppose, but if you don't know that and you don't know those people, you need someone that can show you the way, show you the ropes. And so you'll be able to walk that fine line.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't be what you can't see, and you can't accomplish what what you don't know about or know how to. I talk about 4 Ds in my book, right? And the first of these is desire. You got to have a desire for something. And when I say desire, I'm not talking about simply wanting something, right? We want nice clothes, we want a nice home, we want good retirement, whatever it is you might want. But why? What is it that make that important to you? Why do you want it? And if you don't have a why, you essentially don't have a reason for getting up in the morning. You just getting up, right? Because the body tells you to. But but you gotta have that desire, or more specifically, a why something is important to you. You gotta have discipline, and I'm talking about discipline being that thing that makes you do what you need to do when you need to do it, so you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. Discipline, growing up, we played a little ball, and we had Monday, Wednesday, and Friday was workout days. You pump and iron, and Tuesday and Thursday was calisthenic days, and you doing karaoke's and different drills and things of that nature. And no matter what life threw at you, if you were disciplined, you still got your reps in. I don't care if you had to stay after school because the English teacher said you plagiarized or whatever, this, that, and the other. As soon as you were dismissed from detention, guess what you did?
Got
You
them
hit that
reps.
weight room and you went in there. Even you might have been the last person in there. You went in there. You might have been in there by yourself, and you did every rep you were supposed to do. That's the kind of discipline that you need, right? To be successful. And then the third D is what I call dedication, and to be dedicated to something to the point to where nothing else truly matters. I think about Marvin Gaye had this song "Too Busy Thinking About My Baby," right? And I ain't got time for nothing else. When I moved out to Nebraska, I was married. I had my wife and I had a kid. She had a kid, and we got married. And then I had custody of my nephew, and all those different things that I knew I had to do in terms of being responsible and taking care of my family. Anything that conflicted with completing that PhD, I didn't have time for it, man. And I used to sing to myself, I kid you not, too busy thinking about this doctorate and I ain't got time for nothing else. If it didn't facilitate progress toward completion of the PhD, I ain't have time for it. I ain't have time for it, man. I washed dishes, I cut grass, I did those things that I had to do around the house to kind of keep the peace, to raise my family, you know what I mean, and do those different kind of things. Everything else, college football, pro football, I can't tell you who won what and who played who. I can't tell you nothing about all the things that I really enjoyed about life and sports and social activities and functions and things of that nature from 2000 and probably 3 to 2005, or maybe 2002 to 2005 when I actually got into the program. Yeah, because if it conflicted with or was competition for my time and attention as it relates to that PhD, it got no play, brother. It got no play. That's what I mean when I say dedication.
Right.
You know? And then, of course, the last one is determination, being determined to see the accomplishment of your goals and aspirations through to the end. Nothing turns you around. I tell young people today, especially on college campuses, and I've been at some good places. I'm here in the Alabama system now, and on the Huntsville campus. I was in Texas, Arlington, as we discussed. I was in Kansas State for a little while. I was at Tennessee, Chattanooga for 9 years, Connecticut, Western Connecticut for 3, Miami, Ohio for 4. And I tell people all the time, you're going to run into some barriers, right? You're going to run into some problems and some challenges. Your money going to get funny, right? Your financial aid don't come in, or maybe you got that one professor that just hard as rocks, right? I mean, just, ridiculously challenging. What you gonna quit? You gonna turn around? You gonna lay it down and say forget about it? If you are, you shouldn't have started the process, right? You got to be dedicated to getting this thing through. I had a mentor by the name of Dr. Joe White, and he was regarded as the godfather of African American psychology. And one of the things he told me when I was doing that PhD was if I wasn't going to finish, I should not have ever started. He said that in no uncertain terms. He said, listen, brother, you might go through a whole lot of grief in this system, at this school, or what have you, but you don't know grief like I know grief. Because when I was at Michigan State, where he did his PhD in psychology, he said, they didn't want no brothers in psychology. And when I say they didn't want no brothers, I'm telling you, even their rats were white. I mean, he broke it down for me, man. And I was like, man, wow, I never thought about that. And needless to say, there will always be somebody telling you can't do it. Your money, you don't have the funds, you don't have the know-how or something. Somebody telling you it can't be done. If you're not dedicated to completing it, don't even start it.
It won't be done.
I'm sorry?
I said it won't be done. If you're not dedicated, it won't be done.
You already lost. It's over. It's over before you even get started.
Yeah. That what you're saying about the dedication and determination, it takes me back to when we first started this conversation about someone who's saying everyone can't be a professional basketball player.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about that is, like, do you really want to wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and run? Do you really want to play basketball every single day? Are you really determined to do these type of things? Because that's what it takes.
Yeah, the ones who want to do it, they can become professionals. When I think about little Spud Webb at 5'6", I don't know if you remember Spud Webb, but Spud Webb was dunking on folk, 6'5", 6'8", he going to the hole, he going hard in the paint, you know what I mean? And that didn't stop him, that didn't stop Muggsy Bowles and people that were yay high, right? They made it.
Yeah.
Why? Because they had a work ethic, right? They understood the shooting 300 jump shots a day or dribbling with their eyes
Exactly.
closed, and you know what I mean?
Exactly, man.
Yeah, they
Hey,
put the
man,
work.
this conversation was awesome. This I can't wait till it release. I know there's a lot of people who are. I'm gonna ask you this because I haven't been able to ask anyone this, and I've been to college and everything. I've never pledged, been in a fraternity, but I have a son, a stepson who just went off to college, and he had this question. So I want to ask you: did pledging a fraternity, being a Kappa, how would you rate your association with that group, um, relating to your success as far as networking and as far as, being beneficial to your career?
It is without question one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. It's way up there. I'm telling you, with the decision to go to college, with marrying my wife, with I mean, it's not too many things that come before the decision to pledge Kappa Alpha Psi. And I would think that many members of other fraternities may feel the same way about their fraternity. I like to think that, but in my experience, man, I have not gone anywhere in this society, anywhere across the pond, where there wasn't another member of Kappa Alpha Psi that was willing to, show me some gratitude, some favoritism, some support, some encouragement, or what have you, with whatever it is I might have been dealing with. When I took my first job out of college, I moved to West Virginia, and the brothers of the new chapter at West Virginia State University greeted me with open arms and helped me move my stuff in the apartment, helped me move stuff out. When I got to Ohio, the Kappa Delta chapter of Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, those guys were just phenomenal. Even when I went to Nebraska, although there wasn't a chapter on my campus in Kearney, the Ada chapter brothers in Lincoln. I mean, just open arms. Anytime you needed directions, a can of gas, support for getting something done, the Kappas were there. They've always supported me. And one of the most moving stories, I would say, in 2008 with the housing crash, you know, um, we got caught up in that housing crash. We was living in Connecticut, and the home we purchased had been appraised inappropriately. We bought a house at 1168 Hill Street, and they appraised 1168 Hall Street, and it was $65,000 more, the appraisal was, than what the house was actually worth, because they were in two different localities. And so when I tried to sell the house, I struggled, right? And so I moved back to Chattanooga, and I couldn't get a mortgage because I had this deed in lieu type of thing as a result of the housing crash, market crash, excuse me. And I went to one of my fraternity brothers, and he was a vice president at a bank. And first of all, I went to an older brother, a senior brother, who knew the vice president of the bank, who I did not know. And 2 days later, man, I had a mortgage.
Hmm.
2 days later, I had a mortgage, man. I just had my son. My son was born 1 pound 9 ounces. He was, premature in the NICU for the first 3 months of his life. Had a feeding tube for 8 months. For the first 8 months of his life, I mean, things were real hectic, and I didn't even have somewhere for a home for my wife and family to live in. Right? It was a very conflicting time. But Kappa Alpha Psi, and a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, I should say, gave me access to a mortgage, and helped me provide for my family and my home. And it has just been tremendous to me. I'm an active member today, have been for 35 years. My son just joined Kappa League. In Fort Worth, if you were interested in Kappa League, or oh, the Alphas got something. I forget, the Gentleman League, Gentleman something. I think the Omegas have something. Sigmas. I think they all got some type of little brother organization, IOTAs as well, to where they work with young men and try to guide them right and keep them encouraged and uplifted in spirituality and education and financing and all the different kind of things that will be important to them, as they go along their way. So I think the world of it. I think the world of it. I'm so happy I did it. I'd do it again.
That's perfect, man. That's perfect. That's what we need as a community. That is the perfect example of the community that we need to have amongst each other,
Oh, yeah.
especially as black men. Especially as black men. Definitely. Dr. Sammy, I'm gonna let you get off of here, man. As you can tell, I could continue talking. I'm gonna let you go.
Okay, bro. You got me for as long as you need me. How do I get one of them hats, man?
I have to start getting these printed, man. I'm supposed to have some coming, but I don't know what happened to my lady. So once I get in touch with her, I will keep you posted, and I will get you one.
Is that your book back there?
Yes, that's my it's a workbook actually.
Okay. I need to get a copy of that too. How do I www.millionairebyMorning.biz? Is that?
Yes, that's my website. I don't think it's listed on my website. It is on Amazon.
Okay.
I have a monthly newsletter that I put out, and it's in there for sale every month.
Okay. All right. I'll figure out how to get a copy of it, man.
Okay. I'll get you that information.
When will this air? Or will you send me a copy of it? Or
I will send you a copy. I have it edited by this weekend, and we'll
right.
get you in the queue for next week. I normally do a drop at 6:15 a.m. and kind of just put you in the loop, but I'll send you an email and everything when yours is ready to drop.
All right. And yeah, man, I'll download it and hold on to it in the whole 9 yards, man. You've been a fabulous host today.
Thanks a lot, man. When you start getting started on your personal journey, I like to have a talk with you. I do, and what I mean by that is personal branding. Whenever you say you're going to go out on your own, just do it that way.
It's going to be sooner than later, brother. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I know you're going to be on the road and want to go to places physically. However, I think you would be great on a webinar with your book. And I got a couple of ideas I can share with you on that.
That has crossed my mind, as well as any type of podcast or what they call NPR. I've not figured out exactly what the correct path is. As I mentioned before, I'm not really technically inclined and, don't have a lot of skills around some of these different kind of things. But it has crossed my mind, all of that.
Okay. All right. I would definitely keep in touch, man. Like I say, I have a newsletter coming out. I have a newsletter every month. So just be looking for, Millionaire by Morning, and we'll just keep in touch that way.
Sounds good, my brother. Thank you so much for your time today.
You as well, man. You have a great evening, and I'll speak with you soon.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye now.